hello, friends listening. This is the Lost Girls podcast. I'm your host, Neva.
And I am your other host, Maria, and we have a special guest with us today. Neva, would you like to introduce her?
Yeah, this is my sister. She's pretty okay most of the time.
Hurtful.
Ouch.
So we're going to talk about teaching and education today. And so I asked my sister to join us because she's also a teachery person. And do you guys want to start with like what our degrees and backgrounds and shit is? That way it's not like three dumb bitches talking about stuff they don't know anything about.
It's a great idea.
Okay, I'll go first. So I have a bachelor's degree in music education. And for like 3 years, I've been a thesis away from having a master's degree in instrumental music education. Although I will say, I enrolled in my last credit hour and paid that $400, and it's going to fucking happen.
Yeah.
I'm putting it into the universe. It's going to fucking happen. So I taught in the classroom for 9 years, and prior to that, I was a substitute for 2 years. I taught at small schools. I taught 2 small schools, graduating classes of 30 to 40 people.
Damn, very small.
Very small. Classes I taught were high school, middle school, beginner band, high school choir, guitar and piano, music theory, and music history.
Wow, that is comprehensive.
Yes. So,
okay.
Maria, would you like to go next?
Sure. So I have a Bachelor's of Science in Technology Education and a Master's of Science in Engineering and a Master's of Science in Educational Leadership. Because I'm a masochist, apparently.
How many master's degrees do you have?
Just 2. It's fine. So this is my 19th year teaching. Yeah, I know. I'm old. And I have tech ed teachers teach a lot of different stuff. So I have taught everything from robotics to woodshop to auto, transportation, materials processing. What I teach now and what my main area of interest of is graphic design, video production, broadcasting, multimedia. So I actually teach my students how to podcast. Ours really should be better. But that's okay. They don't need to know. And I've taught in medium schools and large schools and country-ish schools, and I currently teach in the largest high school in my state. We had a graduating class of 730 last year. That was just a graduating class. So there's like 4,000-ish kids in our school. Yeah.
That's like how many kids were in my school's K-12.
Yeah.
That's almost bigger than our hometown. So
yeah, it's a big school. It's the whole campus is like a city. And it's inner city. So half my students are like English as a second language, and it's rad. So that's what I'm doing now.
Oh, yeah. I've only ever taught in Kansas, and Maria teaches in Connecticut.
Yep.
For whatever that's worth. Connecticut's like the size of the county that I live.
Yeah, it's so small. And yet, such a bitch to get certified to teach in. Like, one of the top 3 hardest states to get certified to teach in, which is super cool. Because there's a huge teacher shortage.
Yeah.
We might talk about that today.
Oh, we might. All right. Would you like to go?
Yeah, sure. So I am in my 10th year of teaching. My undergrad is in unified science. Focus was biology. Basically, that means I can teach all levels of biology, 6 through 12, but then intro levels of chemistry, physics, earth science, any other type of science I could teach at intro level. My master's is in tech education, basically. It's technically curriculum and instruction with educational technology. Getting ready to start my either master's degree or ed specialist in administration.
Mm-hmm.
because I feel like that is the next step for me. If you can think of a biology or an earth science, I have taught that. Um, Bio, environmental science, earth and space science, meteorology, astronomy, intro to animal science, forensic science. As long as it's not chemistry or physics, I'm good to go. Um, but with that, I've also taught some career and tech ed classes. So I taught like farm tech class for a couple years. And my current role is I am the career and tech ed coordinator at my new school.
Nice.
So um, it's a brand new position at the school, so they're not 100% sure what I'm doing. But in my mind, the idea is that we want to get as many students as possible into actual job experiences. So, like their junior and senior year, we're looking at job shadows and internships and client connected projects. And I got into this because I've taught in three different states: Missouri, Nebraska, and Kansas. My school in Nebraska was a wall-to-wall career academy. And so I was the science teacher for the business academy. So that meant that all of the business academy students went through my biology class. So all of my projects had to be focused on how does biology connect to business, which let me tell you, that is not easy to do. My last school here in Kansas, I was a part of the team that built our wall-to-wall academies, and I was the academy lead for health and life science. So that meant that all of the seniors who were in health and life sciences were with me their senior year, and I had to get them a career experience. So I had about 50 students who I was getting internships and job shadows their senior year. I was making sure they were going to them and that they weren't, embarrassing our school, basically. And so I then moved to this school this year, and they're like, we want that, but here. I've only taught in big schools. So first year was an urban school, about 900 to 1,000 students. My school in Nebraska was about 1,000 students in the entire school. First school here in Kansas was about 900, and then now I'm at a school of about 1,300 students. 900 of which are involved in the CTE programs.
That's
So
awesome.
that's me.
Yeah. It's so funny you mentioned academies. The school I'm in is implementing wall-to-wall academies.
Yep.
So I'm in the Design and Communications Academy, and I'm the academy lead for it. So I'm rewriting all of our curriculum and trying to teach all these core teachers how to involve, like, what I teach, because my classes are at the core of the academy, how to, like, incorporate that into social studies, math, science, English. So it's a crazy amount of work.
It's incredibly impactful for students, though.
Yeah,
like,
I think it's wonderful.
Because I went from like just teaching biology to be like, okay, how does this actually apply? Because you always get the questions from kids like, why does this matter? Well, here's why it matters.
Right.
And that's something that I've struggled with at my last school, and here is the core teachers have been teaching like, well, I've been teaching this for longer than you've been a teacher or than you've been alive. Why do I need to change what I'm teaching? And I'm like, because you have a 51% attendance rate at your school. That's why you need to change.
Right.
And so I think that I have drank the Kool-Aid on academies, obviously, and career and tech ed.
It's okay.
Like, I am all in on it. And people think I'm insane that you're a science teacher. I'm like, yeah, but I taught career science classes. Like, I taught forensic science and animal science. Like, those are classes that are directly connecting to what they're going to do when they leave here. And so
yeah,
I get on my soapbox sometimes. I will try to not do that too much.
No, it's okay. I totally understand. And when our school district started switching to academies, everybody was so resistant at first.
Yeah.
And I was like, do you understand that this is for like the however many years I've been teaching? This is what I've been preaching. I'm like, tech ed is at the core of interdisciplinary education. And if you force it to be, you end up with career academies. And then these kids they leave school with either a certification or a portfolio that they can go directly into the world and get a job, or they can carry that through secondary education if they want. They certainly don't have to.
I really like that. in education, it seems to be there's a switch from like when I was a kid, it was like, oh, what college are you going to? It was
Oh
immediately
my
like,
God.
you have to go to college. And now
Yes.
it's like, there are jobs that make more money than I do, and I have a master's degree, and you just have
Yeah.
training. Um,
Yep.
State of Kansas actually, this year's freshman class has to graduate with 2 post-secondary assets, which is an ever-evolving term, but it includes like those certifications. But it's also like
Yeah.
you can get like 95% attendance or like a ACT score of 21 or whatever. But it's like
Right.
the focus is on like job training. So you have to have two of
Yeah.
these in order to leave this building,
Hmm.
which is also
That's
part of
huge.
where like my job came from was like we need someone to track this and to find this stuff for kids. And I
Yeah.
think that it's going to be more impactful for students than, hey, what college are you going to go to? Let's make sure you
Yeah.
have all these scholarships. And I'm currently like working with our admin. We got some flyers for apprenticeship programs with the different unions around the town and stuff. I'm like, we have kids who this would be perfect for them. I'm like, I
Yeah.
know we do. There's no way we don't. And so
Hmm.
I'm excited for where it's going.
Yeah. Yeah. No, me too. I will say the academies made me more excited to be teaching than anything has in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
Because it's been rough.
Yeah.
Which is a nice way to put it. Um,
We came out of the pandemic and we're having to reteach kids to just be humans.
yeah.
That's and with the like cell phones are a huge thing, obviously. Like I have a degree in educational technology and I like the use of technology and teaching kids the appropriate times to use them. But right now, they have no idea how to detach it from their hand.
No,
We,
they don't.
my previous building here in Kansas and my building now, and even the state board of education is looking at implementing a statewide cell phone policy
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
kids can't
Really?
have phones. Yeah.
Hmm. Connecticut is too.
Statewide, middle school and high school, they can't have them out at all
Hmm.
during the school day. Like putting stuff into place that the idea that they may just be like, they have to be collected in the office
I
every morning
think
when they come to
that's
school.
I think
Yeah.
that's a good idea because I think cell phones are a real big problem. However, I think you really have to address the underlying addiction to
Yes.
their cell phone issue, and I
Yes.
don't. I worry that just a blanket no more cell phones policy is not going to address that because
Yeah.
that's real and yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I can't even tell you how many students have decoy phones. Like,
Mhm.
legitimately, they have like old phones that they have laying around and they're like, go ahead, take my phone. Yeah, I
Yep.
don't care because it's not really their real phone.
Yeah.
And it's insane. So our school this year started addressing it with we had like an open Wi-Fi network where any device could connect to it. And now we're going to like a hotel Wi-Fi system. So anyone can use it, but you have to log in with your school ID and you only get a limited amount of data to use for that day. And it's enough to like email stuff to yourself if you need to. Send a friend a file and that's it. And then you're locked out for the rest of the day off the Wi-Fi. And the school has shit service. So like
Yeah. I mean,
so it's like
my
it
current
kind of
building's like that.
sort of solves the problem.
Yeah, like
But
my current building, they don't let anyone on the Wi-Fi. Like even teachers can't get their personal devices on the Wi-Fi.
yeah.
And so like the building has terrible service. Like my phone is dead by like lunch because it's trying to find service.
Yep.
We switched from a block schedule to a 7-hour day, which I have feelings about that as well. But um, students are allowed their phones during passing periods and at lunch. So like instead of going directly from phones to nothing, it's like we're giving you this. Keep them
Right.
away for 47 minutes. You can have it for 5, put it back away for 47 more minutes.
Right.
And my office is in the main office, so I get to hear all the wonderful things happening. And I think we've only had a couple students that ended up going home. Like their policy is the teacher asks them to put it away. If they refuse, they get sent to the office. If they won't give it to
Mm-hmm.
the office, they call their parents and they go home.
Yeah.
Which
So
I also have
it
feelings
is a
about
lot.
that.
Yeah.
But, we've only had a couple kids that we ended up having to call their parents, from what I understand. So the kids are doing okay. It's only week 2, so we'll see as we continue if the teachers keep up with it, if the students keep being
Yeah,
respectful about it.
that's the thing. You become exhausted as a teacher policing that, because then you're
Oh,
not
yeah.
even teaching your class. You're policing the cell phones.
Mm-hmm. Like, I straight up stopped. Because I was just like, I give like a blanket statement, and I'm like, listen, you want to be on your phones, unless you're being disruptive, I'm not going to stop you. But I'm also not going to repeat directions. I'm not going to tell you what to do 45 fucking times.
Yep.
So, and usually in that exact language. and just like, you can ask a friend. Maybe ask the friend you were on the phone with. Maybe they heard the directions, because you certainly didn't. Like, I'm a real bitch about it. And I'm just like, and also like, there's this, because Connecticut, there's huge liability issues. So teachers in our school are not allowed to take students' phones.
Yep.
We're not allowed to touch them. We're not allowed to take them. Most we can do is ask them to put it away. And if they won't put it away, the child and the phone go to the office.
Yep.
And nobody has to touch anything. And,
Which is
like,
fine if your principal backs you up.
Right,
Yep.
which is great. Like, and I was like, if you have an important phone call, because we have block scheduling. So they're in my room for, 90 minutes, an hour and a half.
Yep.
I was like, if you get an important phone call and it's from your mom and you need to take it, just tell me. Like, I'm not a teacher that's going to be like, no, suffer. I have like little rooms, like we have a vocal booth and a podcast room in our classroom. I'm like, you could just go in there, take 5 minutes, and then come back. Like, it doesn't need to disrupt the process, the educational process. I'm like, but if you're on the phone during class, which means you don't hear the directions I give, that's your loss, my dude. Like, sorry. And I only talk, like, in a 90-minute period, I talk at most for 20 minutes. Like, I get exhausted by the sound of my own voice. I'm like, I don't want to listen to me that long. They don't want to listen to me that long. A lot of times it's like, teach a new skill, introduce the project, go, let's do it. Because tech ed, that's how tech ed is. Because it's the best subject ever. And so I'm like, guys, you don't even have to disengage from your phones for all that long. 20 minutes. All I'm asking is for 20 minutes of your time. If you can't give me 20 minutes of your time, that's a real problem. That you should, speak to a medical professional about. Otherwise,
a bunch of our
Pay
teachers
attention.
actually, they have like it looks like a shoe rack, clear plastic
Yes.
shoe rack, right?
yeah.
Oh,
And they
yeah.
have the kids put their phones in those, and they use it for attendance.
Yeah,
And so
I've
the
seen
kid's
that.
phone is not there, and I'm like, man, that. And so then they use it for like participation points as well.
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
they said they have kids who like put their cell phone case in there, and they're like, well, I see a case in number 17. You lost your 10 points of participation for today for that. And they said usually it works, but I'm like, man, that seems, coming from like urban schools, I'm like, that seems like an accident waiting to
It's a li-
happen. Like someone's just going to
liability
grab that
nightmare.
and they're going to take off with it. And they're like, oh,
Yep.
we don't have that problem. I'm like, yet.
Well, okay.
I was like, I very clearly remember my first teaching job, a teacher who took a kid's phone, and it was like in their desk, and she turned her back to the desk, and a student took it out of her desk, and she was liable for that iPhone and had to pay for it. And I'm like, I'm not taking kids' phones unless they're attached to my body at that point, because
Hell
if you have
no.
to, like, I would wear a fanny pack when they told us we had to take kids' phones, so then the phone was like attached to my body, and I'm like, if you're going to take this phone, you're going to then assault me, and then we have other problems anyway. So,
right, yeah.
but I'm like, I don't touch kids' phones.
Wait, did you say you had a fanny pack for taking kids' phones?
Yeah. So
That's
like
some next level Miss Frizzle shit. I love that.
I actually have Miss Frizzle on my shirt, so I'm wearing my science shirt. Yeah. So like there were teachers who had like the
Hell
Home
yeah.
Depot aprons that they would wear. I had a
Oh
purple
yeah.
fanny pack. And so they would just have phones in their Home Depot apron walking. That was at in Omaha
Oh
where I
my
taught.
god.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Because we were expected
That's
to take
awesome.
phones. And we're like, I don't feel safe like putting this in my desk or in a box because someone's gonna steal that shit. And
Yeah, no.
I'm not paying for that. So
No. And I explained this to the principal too because it was funny because I had kids in my classroom using their phones. I was like, so I teach video production and broadcasting and I have a TV studio in my classroom. And when my kids are out videotaping, which is like, an old ass term because no one uses tape, but when they're out doing that, they can either use their device phone, like the camera on their device, or my janky 15-year-old cameras that take like the worst video quality you've ever seen. So of course they want to use their devices anyway. And I'm like, and my principal was like, well, how can we solve this? I'm like, you legitimately would need to spend $20,000 to buy me new cameras in order to fix this problem. Like to buy me cameras that have better resolution than what they have on their phones. It's not worth it. Like, it's nearly not worth it.
In 5 years, you'll have to spend another $20,000.
Right.
5 years if you're lucky. Like
if you're lucky,
The next level of phones is going to come out next year, and they're going to have better resolution than those cameras.
Yep. And I was like, we might as well put them to work. Like, I taught them, I teach them how to film good video on your iPhone. And we just replaced all of our tripods. And on our tripods, we put iPhone mounts and iPad mounts. And, if you're going to use them, learn how to use them.
It's like, I think maybe the thing would be like, well, like, don't get cameras, get like iPads, because they may be a little better for a little longer, but that's even more money than those cameras.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's crazy.
So when I was teaching, I forgot to mention this, I did leave the classroom 2 years ago.
Oh, right. Yeah, we should talk. We are still well embroiled in the world of education. Neva was smart enough to get out.
I ran.
She found a better option.
Yeah.
To be fair, I left without a plan, and I kind of landed in something good. So
that's an immense amount of trust in the universe. I love that.
Got that.
Anyway, my point was, in the world of band, there are free tuning apps, so many free recording apps, and my principal at one point tried to tell me that I couldn't do that. And I was like, hurrah. I was like, we have to teach these kids how to like properly use their devices. And the only way they're going to learn how to properly use their devices is by fucking using them.
Mm-hmm.
So actually what ended up happening was he let me buy a classroom set of tuner and metronomes, and we figured out a way that they could record themselves on their school issued devices. But that was a huge fucking pain in the ass. I just gotta say.
Yeah, it always
like,
is.
If they have a fucking phone right there, they can set it on the stand and it's all there.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
I mean,
I know.
As a science teacher, we would do things like, the first one that comes to mind is like making stop motion videos, right?
Yeah.
To explain different processes. And they're now like, well, can't you use a Chromebook for that? And I go, not easily.
No.
Like, we would take their phone and like use like a ring stand for science, and they would lay their phone on top of the ring stand so they could record down on their like paper. I'm like, show me how to do that with a Chromebook, please.
Right.
I would love
to
see
put
that.
The whole thing.
Like,
yeah.
If they had like a 2-in-1 or something where they can fold it and make it into a tablet, sure, we can figure that out. But that's not what your Chromebooks are. Like, someone's going to have to hold it like this awkwardly and not be shaky.
Oh my God. Yeah, it would be a nightmare.
And like, I understand the phones are a problem. I get that. And I had conversations with my kids last year, and like, we have to put our foot down at some point. Mm-hmm. But it's also like, if we're going to do that, you need to support the teachers who are trying to use the technology for ways that are appropriate in the classroom. So if I can't use their phones for a stop motion video, what are you going to provide for me that's going to help my kids do that? Because a
Right.
Chromebook is
And
just not the answer.
it's not the answer. And
Wait, you think they should buy you something?
what? Spend money?
And honestly, if I had $1 this year for the amount of times I've heard, there's no money for that. And
Or just
this is the-
$1?
Or this is the way it's always been done. I would not have to be teaching anymore.
Yeah. We have
And
a negative budget. Like,
oh yeah,
for a tech ed department, we need like consumables, right?
yep.
Like, I don't know, wood or literally anything. Like graphics, paper. Like, I do all the printing for the school. Paper? No. And they buy us nothing. Thankfully, our K-12 coordinator is amazing and she's really great at writing grants. And so she begs, borrows, and steals from everyone she possibly can. And so we get some, but as far as the school district is concerned, we get fuck all for anything.
I have like 4
from
grants currently open on my computer, writing them for my CTE teachers.
Yep.
Because like we need these things and we don't have them, and I'm like, cool. Like the one that I'm writing a really big grant for, our culinary classroom doesn't have ventilation. They don't have ventilation.
Holy shit.
Yeah, I don't know how this happened or why it's been that way for so long. I don't know how this is not getting like shut down.
Yeah, there's no better metaphor for how education works than that.
There's not even windows in the classroom. Like, okay, if we're gonna like at least like there's not even windows. And they're like, oh, well, they've made great things. And I'm like, I have no doubt that they've made great things. But when you tell a teacher, just don't burn anything with like a classroom of 30 high school kids. Like, oh my gosh.
What if they start a fire? Okay. Like, that's a safety issue. I know.
Well, she got fire blankets this year. She got fire blankets this year. So at least there's that.
Well, at least you all won't burn to death, maybe.
Maybe. I am writing a really big grant.
That's why we have fire drills, right?
Yeah.
That's why we have fire drills.
Not if you can't jump out the window. You're fucked. We had gas leak drills at our school last year. We went home twice because of gas leaks, and our entire school smelled like propane. And I was like, well, nobody light a fucking match. Jesus Christ, like our school's gonna blow up.
Oh my God.
As a science teacher, the amount of times we're like, we have a gas leak, and they don't tell the school, and we're like, we need to not be in this building. We're gonna die. But it's fine. Just keep teaching kids as they walk past the science labs.
I could totally do this experiment with Bunsen burners and get all my kids super high.
It's fine.
Whatever. Oh my God. Oh. So it's so funny because I don't know if this has happened to you, but I've had a million teacher friends leave teaching. Neva being one. But also several others who were just like, we're jumping ship, we're out. And I'm at the point in my career where I'm like, oh man, this really feels like a shit or get off the pot turning point. Where I'm like, because I'm halfway. So if I'm going to stay in this career, I have to stay for the next however many years. But if I'm going to leave, I probably should have left like 5 years ago. But I struggle a lot with the idea of leaving teaching because it's not like none of us got into teaching because we're like, yeah, there's so much money to be made. No. Get paid shit. We genuinely typically like kids and want to impart some kind of knowledge. And you can call it idealistic if you want, but there's a part of me that like still holds on to that.
Or we had a teacher in our lives that made a huge impact on us, and we want to do the same.
Right, exactly. So I don't know. Do you ever struggle with that?
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah.
I think about like people that I went to college with and graduated with who are no longer teaching, and I'm like, gosh, you were better than me at this. Like, who's gonna teach kids? Like,
Hmm.
if it's not me, then who? Um,
Right.
and I can say that every year for the last probably 3 or 4 years, at the end of the school year, I look. My kids always like, "Are you coming
Hmm.
back next year?" And I go, "Well, I'm always looking for a different job because
Yeah.
I feel like it's so we don't know what's going to happen with education, like political landscapes and
Right.
stuff like that. Like, you just
Right.
don't know what's going to happen with public education, which is why
I
I've
know.
held off on getting like that administration degree because I'm like, if this isn't going to be a thing anymore, I'm not going to spend that money for that. Um,
Right.
and so like I didn't come into teaching naturally, I guess you could say. Like, I was not originally in education school. I was originally in pharmacy school. I was going to be making six figures. I was going to do all this awesome stuff. And then pharmacy school sucked. I hated everything
Oh
about it. I was
Is
a
it
like
because you had
4.0
to study and you didn't? Is it
and I
'cause you
didn't
had
know how
study and you
to.
didn't know how to study?
Yeah, I was fourth in my class.
It's a
I
real
never
issue.
studied for a test ever in high school. I never studied for a test ever in my first 2 years of college. Was like
Yeah.
graduated my associate's program with like 3.96 or something and got into pharmacy school because my GPA was all great and all this stuff. And then I did not know how to study for a test.
Yeah.
And I got into it was medicinal biochemistry. And I understand all of this, but to apply it on a test, I'm like, I don't know how to study to do this.
Yeah.
And
Nope.
lots of diagnoses later, I understand why now, but things that I
Oh,
didn't
man.
understand.
Should we talk about the amount of teachers that are neurodivergent?
Oh, it's got to be like most of them. Like,
It's got to be most.
Honestly.
It's got to be most.
there's
yeah.
got to be something slightly wrong in our brain
Right.
to want to
Literally,
spend all day with kids.
My doctor, she's amazing. And she was like, "Oh, you have an ADHD diagnosis." And I was like, "Well, yeah, duh." And she was like, "Do you take meds for it?" And I was like, "Well, I can't. I'm allergic to the meds." And I'm like, "But it's okay because I'm a high school teacher." And she goes, "Oh, yeah, okay." And like that was enough of an explanation for her. She was like, "Yeah, you do 100 things in a day and at once." And I'm like, "Yeah, it's perfect for the way my brain functions." Like, it works.
This is the first year where I was like, I have to go get like an actual diagnosis. Like, because before I was a high school teacher, I was teaching like 4 different classes a day. I was doing labs. I was doing all the things. And now
Right.
I'm in like
An
an
office?
office type job.
Yeah.
And I'm like sitting there staring at my computer and I'm like,
What do I do?
what?
I don't
And
know where to
there's,
start.
there's no one telling me what to do and when to do it. And I'm like, how?
It's so hard.
And I am now on medication because like,
Yeah.
I'm like, ooh, look, things. Like,
Oh, look at
I-
this. Shiny things.
people
I'm gonna
walk
go talk
past
to the
my
secretary.
office and I'm like,
Yeah.
ooh. And so, like, I ran out of meds this week and like the Monday and Tuesday this week, I was like, I need to do things. I need to
Yeah.
type. I need to email. And I'm like, I can't. Like, how
I can't.
work?
It's like no amount of to-do lists is going to get me out
Yeah.
of this.
Yeah. And so, like, now I am like, if I go back in the classroom, probably wouldn't be that big a deal because
Yeah.
I can do all that stuff. But
yeah, it's so funny because I have to rewrite all the curriculum, right, for the academies. So we got curriculum hours over the summer to write curriculum hours, and I did fucking nothing over the summer. I'm like,
Yeah.
I can't get myself to focus. I just can't. And then in the 3 days of PD we've had, I've written 2 units. Like, everyone's like, how? And I'm like,
you're
I
in
can't.
the right place. Like,
Because I'm in the right place, I'm in the right mindset, I'm already working, and it's just easy for me to be like, okay, this doesn't matter, but this is distracting me enough that I can do this. And it's like, okay, yeah, that works. Like, I'm sorry. Don't give me free time. I won't get shit done.
accurate.
Yeah.
Like, that's been a struggle for me this year because I went from like 9 years where it's like, these are the classes you teach when, here are the standards, do it.
Oh, yeah, right.
And this is a brand new position. So, like, even the people above me are like, well, we're not really sure what you're job is going to look like, what your focus
Cool.
should be. And I'm like, oh, like, I got ideas, but man, you're not going to like those ideas because they're going to take a lot of work and your teachers are going to hate
And
it.
money. Yeah.
And money. And the amount of you who have been teaching here since the dawn of time.
Oh my
Like-
God. Yeah.
It's so weird for me to be in a school where you have teachers who went to high school there,
Yes.
graduated, went to college in the town because the college in the town has a program where they'll pay for your degree if you
Oh my
agree to come back and teach in the district. And so they did that.
Wow.
They student taught and now teach in the district and have been there their
That's such a
entire
weird
lives.
closed system.
Yeah, which is
That-
great because, like, we need teachers.
Right.
But also, you've never experienced anything but this town.
That
Yeah.
feels very inbred.
Yeah. Yeah, it does.
Like, 3 of our administrators did that exact thing
Holy shit.
and have been in the district since they started student teaching at
Were they
Mhm.
also born in Leavenworth?
Yeah. And so,
That's
like,
crazy. I teach 45 minutes from where I live. Like, I don't want to go to the grocery store in my fucking pajamas with my second day makeup trying to see a student. Like,
Well, can I tell you a funny quick story?
no. Always.
I was at a Walmart 45 minutes away from where because that's how far Walmart was anyway, and our band teacher
Oh, Kansas.
was like, well, I don't want to go to this Walmart, I'll go to this other Yeah, we definitely saw him in Walmart.
Oh, no.
which Walmart?
I think it was the Leavenworth Walmart.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Which
our
actually
band teacher, he lived closer to that one
That's
than
fair.
he did other Walmarts. So
That's fair. Of course, we were all, two teenage girls, and we were in like the clearance aisle, and there was like a stuffed chicken, and we were making cock jokes really loudly, and then a band
honestly,
teacher-
if
our
you're with
band-
the person I was assuming you were with, like, the
Yeah.
band director was not surprised by those jokes. So
Yeah.
and then our band teacher comes around the corner, and he was like, I was really hoping that wasn't one of my students.
Whoops. Can we also talk about how band kids are the horniest kids? And I'm not meaning to make a pun. Let's just for real. Like,
as someone who was also a band kid, yes.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. They're like, the athletic kids are like, no, we're super straight and we have tons of sex. And they're neither. And then the band kids are like, nah, man, we're queer and we fuck. And it's like, and they do.
What's the line from Mean Girls when she's like pointing out all the different tables, like sexually frustrated band geeks?
Yes.
And it's so disconcerting because I have an 11-year-old child who is both queer and a band geek. So, like, shit. This
Oh,
is going to
man.
be fun.
Dude, I had to lock my practice room doors.
Yeah.
I do not, I love you, children, but I do not trust you. I don't care what gender you're in there with.
No, it doesn't matter. Yeah. I have a padlock on my vocal booth because we caught 2 kids getting cuddly in their last year. And I was like, get the fuck out. And then another kid tried to light up a joint back there. And I was like, do you think I don't know what that smells like? One,
The fact
what do
that
you
they're
think your
still-
teachers do after school?
The fact that they're still lighting up a joint and not using a vape, though, is
Yeah. I was like, and
so
also,
hipster of them.
how did you not use a vape? Like, you took the time to bring a rolled joint? Like, is this some hipster bullshit you kids are doing?
What is
Like-
this, the 70s?
That shit kids my age did.
Like, you could have
no
a
one
vape-
smokes
you could have-
cigarettes in school.
You can have gummies. Jesus. Like,
I know.
you get
Just
away
get
with
the
it, even.
God,
I-
you idiot.
I lost my absolute shit one day. I walked, so because it's a band room, you have like the main room, and then you have little rooms off of it, and then you have like the instrument storage room. And I walked back there, and it reeked of weed, and it did not before this class. It was high school band, of course, and I let them keep setting up, and class started, and I was very calm but it was the calmness that was scary.
Oh,
I was
man.
just like, if this ever happens again, I was livid. I'm
Oh
like,
my
I don't give a shit what you do outside, but do not
Yeah.
fucking bring it in here. Do not make me the bad guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, god damn it, guys.
I know. And I tell them
God
all the
damn
time,
it.
I'm like, guys, I don't care if you want to smoke weed outside of school. Fine. It's better than
That's
drinking.
your problem.
Right. Yeah, but that's your parents' problem. You know? But like, I have on my board because the way my classroom is, it's very much like this is where all the queers are. Because there's a
Yep.
rainbow flag and, I make no qualms about my own sexuality. And so I get a lot of kids that, gather in my class all the time, which is great. And I love it. But I literally had to put a list up that like, I am a mandated reporter. Here's what you can't talk to me about unless you want me to report it. And there's a list. Here's what you can't talk to me about. And there's a list.
Anytime a
It's like-
student would say something and I go, for legal reasons, that's a joke, right?
Right.
And they're like,
Yeah.
yes, Miss Snowden, for legal reasons, that's a joke. And I go,
Yes.
thank you.
Thank you.
Because,
Yeah.
like,
It's like you have to.
Like, I know I was a high school kid. I know. But,
Yeah.
like, please don't. Like, I know that we have a good relationship. I understand that. It happened a lot with my seniors. I'm like,
Yes.
I
Oh my God.
understand
Yes.
that
And they're
we
so
have a-
close.
like,
Yeah.
You're right there. I'm like, we have a good relationship. We talk about anything and everything in this classroom. It's a safe place. I'm like,
But
there are things you cannot say to me.
right, because it puts me in a
Because-
position where I have to report you.
It's like, I can lose my job if I don't report you.
Right.
And so
Mhm. Exactly.
it didn't happen so much when I teach like freshman biology.
Yeah.
But when I would teach seniors who I had in freshman biology, who I've known for 4 years, and they're just
Yeah.
they're like, oh, Miss Snowden's cool. I'm like, I am, but
But also,
but also,
Try having them since 6th grade.
oh my
yep,
God.
especially in
Yeah.
a small school like that. Like,
Yeah, I
It-
can't imagine. Yeah. Like
you-
I have very few repeats. I have a couple repeats, but our school's so big it doesn't
Yeah.
matter. Although that's going to change with academies. We'll get to know
Yeah.
our academy kids way better, which I'm actually very excited for because
yeah, with the academy
you know.
system, I can say like my last school, I was there for 4 years, and so I had kids like every year because I would teach their academy science
Right.
classes.
Mhm.
And so I'd have kids. I'm like, oh, I have literally watched you for 4 years.
yeah.
And so then they're like, they know who I am. They know what I'm about. They know all this stuff, which is great. But it's also just like, I had a kid last year. He's like, I think you know me better than my stepmom. And my stepmom's been around for 15 years. And I'm like, that's
One,
another thing.
sad.
Maybe we
Like,
should have a conversation about. But
yeah. But also, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So,
Oh yeah, I
That's
had
good.
I had kids. I definitely saw them more than their parents did.
Oh,
But that's
100%.
also because any free time they had, they came to my room and just
Yeah.
hung out.
Mhm.
And I
Yeah,
was
I
like,
got a ton of
"Aren't
kids
you
like
in
that.
a class right now?" Yeah, I finished my work.
Eh,
I'm like,
Yeah.
you hope they did at least.
yeah. I know. I
The
had an
teachers, like,
institute like
leave.
I was like, you're whatever class you're in, they need to email me and tell me that it's okay that you're here. Because
I
otherwise
had-
you're just cutting class and I have to
I had a-
report you.
I had a principal once who tried to get on to me for allowing kids to come into my classroom, and I'm like, I don't know how that's my fault.
Right.
That's on the teacher that's letting them leave their class.
Right. They're leaving from somewhere.
Yeah, like you could like just because I have created a safe space where they feel comfortable and accepted, don't come at me.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's so true.
Like maybe that's something we should discuss with
Yeah.
the other faculty.
Interesting.
No, it's not their fault. It's clearly your fault because you are
Yeah.
the fine arts elective teacher.
Right. And they
Ah.
love to shit on the fine arts and tech ed.
Yep.
That's a
Yeah.
whole top. You want to get me on my soapbox? 'Cause that is my
I gotta tell you, I walked into this school, right, and they had surveys that went out to teachers, like because the teachers knew that I was coming, they knew what like the plan was, and the only people who filled out the survey were the CTE teachers and the fine arts teachers.
Yeah.
And the fine arts teachers, like their biggest thing is like, we are afraid we are going to get cut out.
Yeah.
And so, like, I went to the art teachers and I go, I want you to know that I would never do anything to get rid of you. Like, you are
Yeah.
important. You are more important than most things here. And
Yeah.
so, like, part of my, like, if I stay there long term, which I'm hoping I do, my plan is like, yes, we're doing the CTE academies, but we're going to start like Fine Arts Academy. We're not getting funding from that from the state, but we are going to make sure that there is something that is going to protect those classes and the kids who are like, I just want to do all of the choir classes. I want to do all of the like fine arts. I'm like, okay, here is what you need to do. Like, you'll still get your credits you need to graduate, but here is
Right.
how you make the most of your high school career for what you
Right.
want.
Mhm.
And I think that that was reassuring to them, because I'm like, no, there's no way that I'm getting rid of these classes. Like, because part of what my new role is to audit classes and suggest what classes we need to sundown and get rid of,
Ooh.
which I don't love because I'm
Ouch.
like, I'm a brand new person and they've had just a setup where a teacher's like, I want to teach this class. Here's what I would teach. And they're like, oh, awesome. We'll put it on the schedule.
Yeah.
And so they have
It put-
very, very specialized classes that I'm like, these don't make sense.
Yeah.
And so I think that they don't want to do it. So they're like, let's bring someone new in and she can tell us if it makes sense. And I'm like, they don't.
Bye.
So,
yeah. It
Well-
just puts you in a weird position.
yeah.
Good thing you're kind of a bitch.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Something only your own sister could say about you.
I mean
Although
that
I'm
in
sure
the-
my
I
sisters
mean that
would call me.
lovingly.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I'll be a bitch to their face and I'll just go close my blinds in my office and cry later. But
Yeah.
I'll be a bitch to their face and I'll cry later about it. It's fine.
Yeah. There you go.
So that'll be an interesting, like, they're like, that's like 2 or 3 years down the road. And I'm like, I don't
just
think it
wanna say-
is.
I just want to say I give Gelia a lot of crap, but it comes from a place of love,
Aw.
and I've known her for her entire life.
How old am I?
33.
Yep, there you go. Good job.
30?
33.
30?
33.
33.
I was like, what's 30? Oh my
It's
God.
like 2020, but 10 times better.
But 10 times better. Nice.
Wait, that's
Wait.
not, that's not.
It's who needs?
I'm
It's
glad
half
you're
as
not
better.
a math teacher.
Who needs math when you have band?
Who needs math?
I mean,
I'll teach you to count.
I only have to count to 4.
Oh no.
I can say that we did not always like each other, though, so we'll just put that out there. But
I
That's a great
miss that.
you missed when we didn't like each other?
Huh?
I said
What?
we didn't. I said we didn't always like each other. You and me.
Your audio's cutting out. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm messing with
She
my
said-
cord.
She said you guys don't. There was a time when you didn't like each other.
Oh, yeah. There was a time Gelia
And then
tried
you-
to, like, punch me, and I was just like, no. And I, like, shoved her down.
You wanna talk about why?
That's
I
not
imagine
what we're
there's a
talking
good
about
why.
today.
The dynamic between sisters could be a whole other episode. Yes. Considering I have 2 sisters myself, who I do not speak to.
Aw.
It's not so aw.
Gelia and I's relationship improved a lot when I moved out.
Accurate.
I feel like we had
Sometimes-
this conversation.
Sometimes distance makes the heart grow fonder.
It was just nice to not be trapped in a house with her. So that was
Yeah.
Whatever. Anyway,
Imagine how it.
anyway.
Imagine how it.
TG.
Poor Avery. Oh man. Okay. Do you want to pull a card for us?
yeah. It feels like a natural
It feels like it's
wrapping
about
up
that
point.
time. Yeah.
I'm sure we could talk.
For another 3 hours about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I tell them about your decks?
Sure.
Okay, which
One do you want me to use? Do you want me to use?
Well, okay, so Gelia has a science tarot deck
Ooh.
that I gave to her. And then she has what's the unicorn one? Badass
It's-
affirmations or something?
Rebel Deck, the Oracle with attitude. Zero
Oh,
filter,
Rebel
zero
Deck.
fucks, all fun.
Ooh, I
Yeah.
like that.
She got
Well,
that
maybe one of each.
Okay.
when
Why not?
she was helping me at a metaphysical fair in Eureka Springs, and like our neighbor had it, and Gelia was like, "I've been staring at this deck for 3 days, and I
It's
think
got
I
a
want
unicorn on it.
it." What did
Yeah,
I say?
fuck yeah, that rules.
Okay. So I guess I'll start with the science one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's go.
And you can read out of the guidebook. Like,
Oh,
there's
Have
no
it next
rules.
to me. Okay.
We do it all the time.
Well, that's a scary looking card.
That's a scary looking card.
So, hold it up.
Is it death?
Phase-
Oh yeah,
phase
13.
Transition death, 13.
Oh,
Phase
we are
transition.
talking about teaching.
Yeah. All right. Let me find. I don't know how to read this book. I'm doing so great.
You're doing awesome.
Yeah, I think you
How
did a
is
great
this-
job.
How is this organized?
By number, probably.
Oh, 2. There's
So that'll be-
ones.
13. Death doesn't mean death, though. It is like a transformation. Time for something else. Oh boy.
Don't love that either.
Well, considering what we've been talking about.
I mean, to be fair, there's probably a lot of changes that needs to happen in education.
Oh, yeah.
Tons, yeah. Sure,
There it
sure,
is.
Sure, sure.
Okay.
We got there.
It's like at the very end. Okay, so phase transition, 13 death. A human skull carved from a block of ice faces its final moments as the sun melts into the water. Clouds of vapor rise up from its solid form and from the puddle on the ground beneath it. The water may again freeze into a solid when temperature and pressure allow, but the ice expression it once held is gone forever. Death marks a frightening and a drastic transition. The path has come to an end, and the familiar form that brought meaning and comfort will never return. It is time to willingly release dead matter, to recognize that death is a state of approaching equilibrium. As ice melts and steam rises, water is transformed. This is a time for loss and mourning to hold awake, reintegrate, and reinvent. Much that vanishes from sight can reemerge in new forms.
I got
So,
maybe half, but that's okay.
Oh,
It's okay.
great.
It's all right.
I think the key thing there is like talking about how this path has come to an end and the familiar form that brought meaning and comfort will never return. So, I mean, we talked a lot about like the transition in education from sit in a seat and go to college to more career focused type stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is great.
Yeah.
Love that.
I like it.
Okay.
That totally applies.
Cool.
I'm
I like
excited
this
for
kind
the unicorn deck.
I
Yes.
know, me too.
I think it's cute. Gela's like, my 2 decks. I can hold them in my 2 hands. I'm just
Are
like,
those the only 2 decks you have?
They are. And one
That's
was
awesome.
the science one was given to me by Neva. And it was my
Nice.
first one. So
I was like, meanwhile, last night I glanced through Kickstarter and was like, oh, these
Oof.
look cool.
Yeah, it's such a bad idea. I'm like, I gotta stay the fuck away from Kickstarter.
I just saved a few because I was like, ooh, it's so pretty. And then I'm like, Neva, you don't need more.
Oh man.
As we've discussed, we might have a problem.
Yeah,
Eh.
we definitely do. I was trying to pick out which decks to bring to the tarot party this afternoon, and I
Yeah.
was like, oh my god. Like, I don't even know. Well, I guess I'll pick 2 tarot decks and like 3 oracles, and that's what I'll bring.
all right. So this one, the focus is you're supposed to ask the question, what does life want from me right now? And so the one I chose, it says make better fucking choices. And so it says, if you are pissed at where you are, then stop taking yourself there.
Oh god.
Oh my god!
Oh Okay. Oh,
I really like this one.
Yeah, I like that
Okay.
one a lot.
Those two cards together with our topic.
Yeah, are like, hey, if you assholes don't like teaching, maybe you should leave.
Yeah.
That's not, but no, that's not what it is. We're trying to change it into something that's awesome.
Trying
You
to make
change
it better,
from the
damn.
inside.
Yeah, right. We're taking it down from the inside. We're going to Trojan horse all of education.
The entire system.
Yeah. They're burning it
This-
down.
In this huge country, I'm going to just change the entire system.
Yeah. That's okay.
Honestly, if I didn't have kids, there was it's called the Albert Einstein Fellowship. And so it's for science teachers. And they pay you, I think it was like $5,000 a month to go live in Washington, D.C. for a year
What?
and help to influence policy for education.
Fucking okay.
But like, for me, I was like, I have 4 small children. And I'm like, that would be super cool. But
But
maybe when they're older, I'll consider that. But I was like, that is super cool.
yeah.
Like, and so like the 5,000 or whatever is supposed to pay for like your housing when you're there and food and all that stuff. So it's your salary.
Yeah.
And so then you just take a like extended leave from like whatever building you work in.
Yeah, you
to
take
go
a
and do
sabbatical.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that is super cool. But
That's crazy.
That sounds
I don't know.
awesome.
I know. All right, hey Neva.
Hey, Maria.
Hey. What's what's going on? No, what's how you been? What's bringing you joy this week?
Oh boy. Okay, what's bringing me joy? Okay. So what's bringing me joy is also like it's kind of a sad thing, but there's a reason that it's bringing me joy. So I recently got a potential diagnosis of PMDD, and so I'm choosing not to take medication for it, and instead I'm focusing on some self-care and taking things off of my plate. And so this week, actually like yesterday, was my last private lesson with my current students.
Mhm.
And they were very sad, and it was a very difficult decision to make. But it's bringing me joy because I'm putting myself and my needs first, and I'm very proud of myself for recognizing that I need to do that and
Mhm.
then actually following through and doing it.
That's awesome. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
And also, yeah, I get that.
Yep. Who wants to go next?
Julia, what's bringing you joy?
Well, all my kids are back at school now. But I think the biggest thing bringing my joy, my twin girls who are 3 are speech delayed. And in the last couple weeks, we've started to be able to understand the words they're saying
Oh,
and actually
yay.
be able to communicate with them. Like, one of my daughters is actually saying her own name and says one of my son's names and
Nice.
says a couple of the dogs' names, and they know all of the names to the Paw Patrol characters and can say them.
Well, yeah.
And so, like, it's a small thing, but like they turned 3 in April. And
Right, no, it's a huge thing. Yeah, that's
and so
great.
it's huge and it's exciting. Like, but now we're at a super awkward point where, like, if we don't understand them, they get really, really mad. But we're like,
I love
buddy,
that.
like, it's like, sweetie, we can't. Like, I'm not sure what that is, but like the fact that they're able to start communicating with us is just a step forward, and it's been a long road to get here. So that's exciting.
Yay.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yep.
I love that.
What's bringing you joy, Maria?
It's a good question. Gila's headphones, because
I can actually change the colors.
yeah, they're like
Colors?
light up. They're so
Yeah.
or they're not, but I thought they were.
They do light up.
Yeah.
And so
they're
like
rad.
the white here can change colors, but I had to download some stuff on my computer for that, and My computer's old and doesn't like to do that. So
Yeah. But other than that, it's such a love-hate relationship with back to school. I am so happy and joyful that my children are going back to school. Because my daughter would have no problem staying home. Like, she entertains herself. She's fine. She's great. And my oldest, who I love so much, needs constant. They have the worst FOMO of anyone I've ever met in my entire life. And they want to be in your space, in your shit all the time. And I'm very excited for them to go to school and be in someone else's shit all the time.
accurate.
Mommy needs a break.
Yeah. And it's like, I think everyone's like, oh, it's the ideal scenario. You and your husband are teachers and then you're off together all summer. And I'm like, do you understand how much togetherness that is for 4 people in a house? It's too much. It's too much togetherness.
My husband works from home. I'm actually in his office right now. And so all summer there was 6 of us at home.
Yeah.
And then I went back to work earlier than I usually did. So he was stuck at home for a month with all 4 kids while trying to work as well.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Good
So
luck.
he's like, yay, the house is quiet again.
Yeah. Like, oh, thank God for school.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's bringing me joy. And my oldest is starting middle school. And so that's like a fun and awkward time that I'm excited for them. So,
Oh, middle school.
I know. Now I'm always like, and I'm such like, I'm an asshole parent sometimes. Because, Colin is non-binary. But they will experience puberty from a boy body. And so, being almost 12, we're just, every once in a while, Colin will get real cranky. And I'm like, is your penis making you upset? Is this a penis problem? And they're like, Mama, it's so gross.
Honestly, my almost 9-year-old son is like, randomly will just like scream at us and get mad. And I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah.
And like the other day he came up and he has a pimple on the side of his nose.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
And he's like, I
Colin
don't know,
started with a
Mom.
couple pimples, and I was like,
And I'm like, I'm not ready for this. I'm just not
Yeah.
ready for this.
I know.
I'm not
Ooh.
ready for that.
Yeah. And like,
He
and
is.
Colin doesn't get like mad. They just get bitchy.
Yeah.
It's so much worse.
You'll get to experience this next weekend with him, Neva.
Just like pissy and bitchy. And I'm like, good, what crawled up your ass and died? I'm like, are you kidding me? And then at the same time, it's like, but no, give me love. And I'm like, sweet fucking Jesus. Like, you don't get to be that mean to me. And then also,
Yeah.
we're having lots of conversations about boundaries.
But we can save that for our
We can save that.
eventual parenting family mom
Yes.
episode.
We'll have
of
to
which
Julia back.
of which I will have little to contribute, so I can just ask questions.
Just facilitate. Yeah, that's okay.
I'll just sit here and look pretty.
Well, you're doing a fantastic job. You
Yeah.
look great. Yeah.
Thanks.
I
I took
mean-
a
Killing
shower
it.
this morning.
You experience with my sons
Say
on
what?
the occasion. You have experience with my sons at your house on
I
the
do.
occasion.
They're
So
coming to visit next weekend.
Yay!
It's Labor
gonna
Day
be great.
weekends, and there's a Pitt State football game, and
are you going to
There'll be
take them to
things.
that?
we're not going to go to the game
Oh, okay.
because it starts at 7, and we're like, they won't be able to stay awake, and they won't want to sit through a fucking football game.
No, it's so long.
They sat through like 3/4 of a Royals game,
Well, okay.
like last summer.
We
Not
weren't-
saying you have to take them. I'm just
Yeah, we weren't planning on taking them to the game, but we were going to go do like Guerrilla Village and do the pre-tailgate stuff.
okay.
We thought they didn't like that.
And you're taking them to Big Brutus, I'm assuming.
And of course, Big Brutus.
What the
Cause-
hell is Big Brutus?
Well, Maria, when you come visit me, you can come see the world's largest
Steam shovel?
Steam shovel.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Like,
Well, that's
have
cool.
Have you ever read the book, Are You My Mother? The little bird?
Yes. Yeah.
So the snort at the end of that book, that's basically what Big Brutus looks like.
Oh, shit. That's so cool.
Which is, I think, why my boys are obsessed with it, because they love that book as well.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That does make sense.
But yeah, this whole entire area, it was strip mined, which is fucking terrible for the environment. But 50 whatever years later, all of that has gone back to nature, and it's filled with water and trees, and it's like hunting area now.
Nice.
So Big Brutus was it pulled the dirt back from, and they basically just stopped. And so there's a strip pit in front of it, and they created a museum.
Nice. That's cool.
Yeah. You can go up inside and walk around, and they used to let people go to like the top of the bucket thing.
Yeah.
But they don't do that anymore because, liability.
Yeah.
Or, as my youngest nephew loves to remind us, because someone jumped off it one time, which apparently someone told him that, and
he tells me that Avery told him that.
Uh-oh.
He's like
Aunt Avery told me.
He's obsessed with that fact. He repeats it often.
Uh-oh. Auntie Avery's getting them in trouble.
Ugh.
I
If that's the only thing she gets them in trouble for.
Yeah. That's awesome. Oh my god. All right. Well, this has been lovely. Thank you for joining us. And
yes.
I want to say not bitching, but just talking about teaching and education and all the fun things.
Yeah, I think it's important to get a teacher's perspective, like, because they're the people in the trenches.
And what a trench it is.
Yes.
There are no ceasefires in this.
Not in education.
No. We're always on the defensive, it feels like. So
Sure are.
Well, thank you for joining us, Gelia.
Yeah, thank you. This is great.
And thank you to the people listening.
Yes, please check out our socials and other things for when I post on Instagram, and
invite your friends.
Yeah, download, share, whatever. You don't even have to listen to us. Just download it if you want. And the videos have been making their way to YouTube eventually as well. So I think we have, 6 or 7 of the episodes up on YouTube where you can actually watch our beautiful faces.
And you can see Gelia's cat ear gamer headphones.
That's true. That's true.
And you can see I took a shower this morning.
And it's pretty rad. It's pretty great. I did not.
I did yesterday morning when I thought this was happening. So
yeah, fair enough. Yeah. Yeah. I did yesterday. But my hair didn't. But it's okay. All right. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Bye, friends.
Bye, friends.